Welcome to Beer and Business. You found the best podcast for entrepreneurs. We serve crafty business knowledge, comedy, and yes, beer. And now it's time for our hosts. If he were to pat you on the back, you'd list it on your resume. It's Jake Mullins. And his beer never gets warm. It just sits there, staying frosty, waiting for him. Mr. John Winnie. And if you spell his name in Scrabble, you automatically win. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Darren Flanagan.
We're here. We're live, folks. Welcome to the first live beer and business show.
Like that choppy transition. That was really good.
Well, I'm already experiencing my first technical difficulty. The damn mixer's not recording. So hopefully our streaming platform gives us really good quality audio. You audio listeners, I'm crossing my fingers.
We're here.
Yes, we are here. We are live. First time live. And we've got Kim Learnard in the studio. Kim is running for mayor of Peachtree City. So, Kim, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you. And before we get into talking about local politics and all that cool stuff, we wanted to take a minute and talk about the official beer of the Beer and Business Podcast, Lion Creek Brewing, which you happen to love.
I do.
So, what's interesting, I wanted to talk real quickly. We've got an event coming up at Lion Creek, which is where Darren met you.
That's right.
At a business networking event at a brewery. That's pretty awesome.
How apropos.
That I was at a brewery?
No. That's everybody expects that. But no, you were at our event. We've got one coming up. It's on the 14th, July 14th, from 4 to 6. And we've got this really cool banner. If people are watching, I can see it on the screen. It's got all the information, yes. So if you want to come join us at our next one, just go to www.beer.business and register. We'd love to see you out there. Mm-hmm. Today, ironically, what Darren and I are drinking is a Fayette Bicentennial, which is kind of politically themed. Man, this is a really good one. And you're drinking Conserve Georgia. So I know you're into lighter beers.
Yes.
So that one's actually really good. It kind of matches the darkness of this one. My goodness.
But a little cheers.
But it tastes
close.
Yeah,
Cheers.
tastes
And here we are on a Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon, yeah.
Wow.
Kind of cool. I mean, first time we had a politician on the show, and she's drinking beer with us, on a Wednesday afternoon.
Life is good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Life is good.
Thanks for having me.
Well, the good thing about the Conserve, now this is what Kim's drinking as part of that Conserve Georgia series.
Yep.
And it's the Honey Blonde Rye.
So good.
Or Honey Rye Blonde. And for every 6-pack that you buy, that $1 is donated to the Southern Conservation Trust.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and we're drinking the Bicentennial, which is a pale ale. It is like, I feel like it's one shade under being an IPA. So it's got a really mild hop profile to it, but it's there. I love this one. It's really good. So folks, go out to the brewery, hang out, come join us on the 14th. We'd love to see you. Or just go to your local grocery store and buy some because your fridge deserves it.
This guy did not have a hop profile, by the way. Marquis de Lafayette on the front, on the can. I mean, is that a good-looking dude?
No.
Negative.
Not good.
Got a lot of forehead going on.
Not
there.
a good look for him.
No,
Quite
not
the
at all.
quaff.
And
So,
it is our first live show. So if you're listening, we did launch our live stream today, so you can actually watch us live.
What else does that mean?
What it means, something really cool, is you can actually interact with us real time. So you can ask questions, you can comment in the live stream, and we can answer your questions on the show, which we've never been able to do, which is really cool. So if you love to listen, keep listening. If the quality's not there on this episode, I'm going to figure out what happened with the mixer, so that doesn't happen in the future. But please, watch us on video, tell your friends about us, and we'd love to answer your questions real time. So that goes for today. If you're watching right now, I'm pointing at you, can send in some questions for Kim. So if you want to ask her what the hell she's going to do with that 5474 interchange.
Oh, way to begin.
Oh yeah, no, we can talk about that. So seriously, if you want to talk to us, we will see your comments and we'll answer those throughout the show. All right, so Kim, you're running for mayor. what is it that got you interested in running for mayor of Peachtree City?
What a great question. And again, I'm just so happy to be here and to be able to have this forum. I'm glad we're going to take questions because that's been maybe the funnest part of the whole campaign.
May or may not.
May or may
We
not turn
hope
out to
to,
be the
but
funnest
we'll
part
see.
of the campaign.
I guess it all depends on whether or not we're actually live streaming right now, because I think it's working. So
Keep me posted
let
on
us
that.
know if we're working, folks.
Yeah, keep me posted. I've lived here 22 years. I love this community. I've raised all three of my children here, Huddleston Elementary, Booth Middle School, McIntosh High School. They're all now successful adults who live elsewhere, and they have children of their own. I served on city council for 8 years. I put in a lot of hard work, and I loved every minute of it. I think this is a great community, and I'm running for mayor now because I'm committed to preserving our Peachtree City quality of life. I want my grandkids to be able to come back here in future years and enjoy Peachtree City the way I have enjoyed it. And I think there are things we can do now, plans we can make, and steps we can take, the 5474 being maybe one of the more obvious right now.
I'm actually looking at it, and it looks
Not good.
terrible.
Yeah, not good. So I'm excited. I think over the years I've learned that community development is my thing. I like the cart paths, and I love the village concept, our outdoor recreation programs. So we have a lot to be proud of here, and I want to make sure we can keep it for our grandkids.
I heard
awesome.
that. Did you pull your phone up to check if we were
Sorry,
actually live?
I wanted to make sure we were actually live.
And?
We are.
Well, good to know.
Wow, it's working. Oh, my
Shit,
goodness.
we're in deep trouble
Yeah,
now.
we're, so,
Actually,
we want to hear from you.
one person that we all know who is probably working actually looked like they were watching us live. So
Oh, cool. Very cool.
That's fun.
we can't say, oh, this person is watching us.
Oh, wow. We actually have our first comment from Drew Groom, and I'm just going to share this because now we can tell people it's working. Live streaming is working. Excited about Kim Learnard running for mayor. Question: I am concerned about safety issues on the golf cart paths. How would Kim address such concerns? You know what? We'll get to that later.
save that.
I just wanted to share that it's actually working. So if you're watching,
Thank you.
you can submit questions. Drew, we'll come back to that because I think it's really interesting.
Well, the easiest thing is to keep me off the paths.
Yes. So I want to go back even further. We just got another one. Somebody said they're working in quotations.
There they are.
This is cool. This is really cool. So, what got you into local politics in the beginning?
Sure. I think I have leadership in my blood. I was Homeowners Association president in a past life in North Fulton.
Sorry to hear
when we
about
used
that.
to live up there. Man, you take it. You take it on the chin. You just take it and you take it. I took some satisfaction in that and making a difference. I really did. And I call it, my husband has sore ribs. Rob, why doesn't somebody just, call this? Or Rob, why doesn't somebody just, next thing you know, I'm doing it. So I did serve as Homeowners Association president in a past life. And when I got here to Peachtree City in the late 90s, I knew my day would come. Mm-hmm. And I like local politics. Right now I can say I like knowing who can help me get the job done when something crops up, whether it's a citizen concern, that tree in the green space is surely going to fall in my yard. Somebody needs to do something. I'm happy to go out and take a look and talk to people. Really, that grassroots stuff is what it's all about. So I like that. And I waited until my youngest was in high school and had his own wheels.
Yeah.
And then it was time I felt that I could run. So I ran an election campaign for city council in 2009, and I won. And I served 4 years, and then in 2013, I ran again, and I won again. And in 2017, then, I was done. We have term limits in Peachtree City, which is a very good thing.
Hey,
Wow.
that is good.
Imagine that.
Term limits, good.
Unlike
Term limits,
senators.
very
of-
good.
Yes. More of those, please.
Yeah. More, please.
So in 2017, I was done. By 2018, I retired. I kept a day job all those years. In 2018, I retired, and that lasted 3 weeks.
So this is a really good part or a really good place for us to start this conversation. One of the things that I think so many people get wrong, not to sound overly critical, but a lot of people, when they think about politics and they think about the things that affect their daily lives, they think national politics. They think presidential election, most people can't even tell you who their state senator is, or their congressman who represents their district.
We have those? Those are
yes,
real
those
people?
are actually real people
wow.
making votes that impact things. But it matters. I'm not saying that national politics don't matter, because they do. But more of your life is impacted by local and state politics. And so I'm interested to hear your perspective getting into it. What did you find? Like, there had to be some surprises, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
what did you learn about how much local government impacts your life?
Big learning process.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't learn it until you get in and you're in it with 2 feet and no looking back. First of all, Peachtree City and most cities in the state of Georgia have a council city manager form of government. We have 5 seats, mayor and 4 council members. Municipal elections in the state of Georgia are nonpartisan. There are no Republicans or Democrats in the whole state in all these municipal elections. So to me, right now, in these hyper-partisan, supercharged times, that's a gift. It means we have the luxury of just doing what's best for our community. And I like to believe that I definitely value both the Republican and the Democratic perspectives in these conversations. We all have something at stake here, and we have a lot to do. And we can do it best if we do it together. So one of the things I learned early on is nonpartisan. Council city manager form of government means the electeds are the city council, and their job is to set direction, share a vision, and give direction to the city manager, and then it's the city manager's job to carry that out. The city manager has an enormous job. We've been lucky to have John Rory on board for, 9 years now, because he has a huge job. Sometimes that's called a weak mayor form of government, but it is the most common form of municipal government in the state of Georgia. So there's that. It means if you're in on city council, nobody reports to you, you don't have departments reporting to you. It's just the city manager, and his job is huge.
So one of the things that you just said that I think is really important is nonpartisan. And there's very real differences between people that are left and right persuasion in their politics and their views, but in so many cases, I think that on a national level, when it comes to the big politics, those positions are nothing more than wedges to divide people, and it doesn't really make a difference. And what do I mean by that? Because it's kind of a ambiguous statement. So we were joking about 5474, and for those of you that aren't in our community, we're actually looking out the window at the worst intersection in our area. It gets backed up with traffic. You solve that, it doesn't matter. You're solving it for Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians, all of the above. Nobody likes being stuck at that intersection. So much of our life is impacted by politics that I don't care about your partisanship or that. I want you to solve a real problem.
Right here in my local community.
Right. And the reason why that makes a difference is because in the national level, a lot of times people talk about their views and their issues, but they don't do anything. They may pass a vote. They may, pass the CARES Act with, 17 trillion pounds of pork in it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's like, they're not doing anything. They're not solving problems. And so many of the things that impact your daily life are happening in your backyard, right?
Sure. And on the national level, some of these decisions are years in the making by people that you'll never meet, who may or may not even want to hear from you. So I think on the local level, your feet are on the ground, and you're making decisions that will affect your neighbors, and you're going to hear from them.
And you should.
Yes.
Oh, you should.
Well, those senators are always available for a phone call.
Ours are.
Have you ever tried to call?
Call
Seriously?
the state senator, yeah.
No.
National senator? Come on.
I'll tell you, they have field guys. They do have field guys
they got-
all the
Yeah,
time.
they have field
got
And,
people.
Yeah, they've got people.
Yeah, they're called placators.
Yeah,
So,
field guys.
but they, the one thing you can look at that people don't seem to realize is you can look at their voting records as well to see where are they voting on these different issues.
Yes.
Same, I'm assuming that you have it all the way down as a city council member
Sure.
and the mayor,
Sure.
where are you voting on these issues? And let's
Sure.
look at your record.
Yeah.
And were you there? I mean, on city council, I know you have to be there to vote, but you get up, as you go up to the national or even state level, it's like, yeah, I just didn't, I couldn't make it that day. So I just kind of phoned in my vote, and I had one of my aides vote for me today.
So help us out with something for those that are listening that have never been involved in politics or are not political nerds like Darren and I are, because we do a lot of reading about politics and that sort of stuff. Explain to people how council versus mayor works in a leadership perspective.
Sure.
Like, what power does a council have versus a mayor?
Oh, what a great question. So we have 5 people, mayor and 4 council members, 5 votes, 5 equal votes. The city council members do not have a lesser vote or a lesser say than the mayor. So there's that. That's why it's called a weak mayor form of government. Even locally, some of our municipalities have 7 on council, and the mayor only votes to break a tie. But in Peachtree City, we have 5 people, 5 votes. So if you wanna do your politicking, if there's something really important to you as a mayor or a council member, and you want to get it passed, then figure out which 2 are going to support you on that and get busy.
Or threaten them
Yeah,
with a baseball bat.
whatever it takes.
Oh, probably not that.
No,
Yeah.
it's bags
That's
of
only,
money.
That's only if we're trying to get Line Creek beer at one at the local package store.
That's right,
We
yeah, then-
threaten the managers.
Yes, we do that. Well, I do that, and then you get mad at me and tell me not to. Yes.
Kill them with kindness.
If I decide I want Line Creek beer at all the city council meetings,
Yeah.
well, then I just need to, and maybe our lawyer while we're at
I
it.
got to
Why
tell you,
wouldn't
you'd
you?
grease some skids if you did that.
We get more participation.
It's like, wow, I've got a great voting record. Everybody's with me.
Just going to hold off and talk for another 30 minutes while Chuck over there gets his 3rd one down. Then I know he'll be on my side.
We'll start beer at 7, voting at 10.
There you go. That's awesome. So there's different forms of council versus mayoral power, but the biggest difference, as I understand it, right, is council members are kind of part-time. They're there to, cast votes, and
Sure.
but the mayor is a full-time job. You're administrating.
Sure, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we all have the same responsibility when an issue comes up.
Sure.
If it's a rezoning or if it's a purchase of a piece of land or a variance request or whatever it may be, we all have the same responsibility to get out there and take a look. We need to be informed, talk to the homeowner, just figure out what the situation is. I've really never failed, I don't think, in 8 years to go look or call the homeowner or knock on somebody's door and say, hey, do you support this, variance request? You check with the neighbors and whatever, try and make an informed decision. If you don't, it might come back to haunt you.
Oh, you could probably tell by the color of the flowers that they've got planted out front, right? If they have red or blue, then you might know which way they're siding, even though it's nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan.
So the city council members are all, it's a volunteer position. Or is
It's
it a
paid. It's paid. It's intended to be part-time.
Part-time.
So, we have 4-year terms, and they're staggered so that we never have 5 new people at the same time. So this year we have mayor and 2 council posts. Also are up for election this year, and then in 2 more years, the remaining 2 council posts will be up, and those 2 will have an election, and then the mayor won't. I want to mention that we don't have districts in Peachtree City, that every one of those seats, it's just a chair. You want to run for post 1 or post 3, if those 2 are up this year, you can decide which one you want to run for, and it's just a chair. It's not a geographical boundary within the city.
Which is really interesting because right next door in Coweta County, our council is districted, and you have to live in the district that you run, as I understand it.
That is county commissioners. That is absolutely true. And in the city of Noonan, I know that's true too. They have 3 different districts, and then they have 2 representatives from each of their 3 districts, and then the mayor is at large. That's in Noonan.
Yep, that's exactly right. And it sounds complex because it is. Because every county or every city or municipality or however it's organized can organize themselves how they see fit, right?
It's true, and then it's all set up in your city charter, which is your original document. I started my campaign with a copy of the city charter. It's not a scary document. It's about 15 pages long, written in plain English, and it just sets up the rules of your game.
No legalese. There you go.
Not really.
So how many hours a week would you say as a council member?
I'd say the first year is a lot. I'd say 30 hours a week. the first year.
Probably
Wow.
just learning, right?
You go to all the meetings. We have an airport authority. We have a planning commission. You know, at that time, 2010, we had a recreation commission, and it was really important to get acclimated. We have a Wausau Water and Sewer Authority, and it was important to get acclimated and meet all the people and just find out what the interactions are, how they interface.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you, kind of a tricky one.
Here we go.
Hold on. Hold on. Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
need
take a
to
drink.
adjust these, you can.
Yeah, your
up and down like
I'm
your
okay.
armaflachis, as I'd like to refer to them. So I'm really worried about the corrosion of ethics in national
I
politics.
thought you were going to ask her if she preferred Sudoku versus crossword puzzles.
Oh, I'm definitely crossword. And my husband is Sudoku, so it's a marriage made in heaven. It's
There
a
you go.
38-year marriage
See?
made in
There you
heaven.
go.
Opposites
Sorry.
attract.
That's right.
Go ahead.
So I'm worried about the corrosion of ethics in national politics.
Yeah.
I don't know who isn't if you're paying attention. It's awful. Are you seeing the same thing in local politics?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a privilege to live here and to have this opportunity. I'm running for mayor. I think I would do a good job. I hope
Yeah, and you're
enough
from,
people
and you went to
think
school
so.
in Milwaukee. Of
I know, go
course. Jeez
figure.
Louise.
How did a small town girl from a beer drinking city end up in Peachtree City drinking Line Creek? I don't see that erosion of ethics. I see ethical people wanting to do the right thing in Peachtree City. I see it in Fayetteville. I see it at the Fayette County Commission, and I don't worry locally. I worry nationally, but I don't worry locally. I
Yeah.
like these people. I know these people. Maybe that's the difference. I'm friends with our commissioners, and I'm friends with the other mayors in this community, and I'm friends with, and we'll get to this later when we talk about paths and trails, I'm friends with COETA commissioners now in the city of Noonan, and it's all good. People are really busting it to do a good job for their communities, and it's a privilege to be able to do this.
Yeah, I asked the question because I really don't know. Because I'm not in local politics. I don't
Right.
have that exposure, and you have. And my expectation would have been your answer. Like my expectation would have been that there's not that erosion, because when you get into local politics, you don't have as much. What's the word I'm looking for?
Outside influences trying to sway your decision on
Ooh,
certain matters.
Good one.
Is that what you're kind of?
And the temptation
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
put your hand in the till, because man, there's a lot of
It's not temptation.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
let's get on my private jet and I'll take you to dinner in Aruba for the weekend.
But I think it goes back to what I said earlier about you're making decisions on behalf of your neighbors, and you have to come home
Yeah.
and look them in the eye, and they're right here, and your kid is playing ball with their kid, and you're going to see them at the swimming pool, and we're all out on the golf carts together and at the Fred, and the things we do in Peachtree City as a community we're doing together, and you're accountable.
yeah. That's it. Thank you. That's it.
Accountable.
That is the biggest difference between national politics and local, and even state. I'd say.
I'll buy that.
State, there's when it comes time for the House, the Georgia House to vote, man, people get active. Like there's a lot of, I'd say probably they get more, real phone calls and real pressure than at the national level where those guys are really insulated.
Yeah.
Although
It's accountability. It really is.
And the higher up you go, the further you are distancing yourself. I mean,
so.
figuratively, but literally distancing yourself from the general population. So you're like, I'm further away from them. I'm further away. I don't have to be there all day long.
Well, here's the other thing, too. It's not just hearing from your constituents. If you, at the local or at the national level, if you pass a really crappy piece of legislation that costs a couple $1 trillion that we don't have and you borrow for it, and it's a complete flop, where's the accountability? There isn't any. Like, okay, so we just borrowed the money, no big deal. It's on the national, like the only way you might be held accountable is if you get voted out, but we don't do a really good job of that.
Yeah.
As a country, we tend to vote back in the same ridiculous, incompetent.
Term limits.
I just keep getting reelected every time.
Yeah, but down on this level,
I put big packages out every year and don't do anything, and they love me in Kentucky. They love me.
they do.
Oh.
Just hang up the phone now, Senator. Thank you. Appreciate you, Mitch.
Sorry.
But yeah, you screw
I have
up
a lot,
54,
as you probably know, there's a
74.
lot of voices that come out. And it happens when I'm drinking Line Creek.
Good to know.
When you're not drinking it.
And when I'm not, yes, fair.
But yeah, you mess up the intersection here with 5474, you're going to hear it from every single person.
Because we drive it every day. It's
You have
not
people in your
a
front
high-level
yard.
concept. Yep.
I mean, people know, they'll figure out where you live. They can come knock on your front door and say,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
You've done 2 limits as a city commissioner.
Yes.
And if you look back, what would you say one of your biggest misconceptions you had was going in as a city commissioner?
I just think roles and responsibilities. It's really important to know your roles and responsibilities. I'm not responsible for, hiring the next HR assistant director. That's the city manager's job, and he's very good at it. So he's got a city to run, and we provide vision and priority and set direction. And part of priority means how we're going to spend the money and deciding what the revenue streams will be, where the money is going to come from.
Right.
So I enjoyed learning all about the money, where we get it, where it goes,
Sure.
how it's spent, and how taxation works. And, right now our property values are all going through the ceiling. The tax assessor's office does the assessment. I had a long talk with her about a month ago because the question kept coming up.
Sure.
I didn't assess your property, but they asked me, and I expect to find them answers. And
People like it when their value goes up. They don't like it when their tax bill goes up.
their associated tax bill. That's exactly right. But what I learned is this, interestingly, and the woman in the tax assessor's office for Fayette County was so professional and she was so knowledgeable. I would call her my friend, and I enjoyed talking to her and learning this. But here's the thing. If your job is her job and you have to assess 45,000 houses in a month, which she did in January, what do? You go by the comps. Well, what have the comps done in 2020? You go by 2020 comps. What have the comps done?
Exploded.
They exploded.
Yeah.
They exploded because there was a moratorium on foreclosures. Nobody sold a house on the courthouse steps to bring down those values.
Bingo.
There were low federal mortgage interest rates, and we have a limited inventory. So all those...
And we have a great community that people want to move into.
very sought after.
So people are very transient right
That's
now.
right. So that made all of our assessments go up. And what I told everybody consistently is if you have a reason, and she told me this, maybe your neighbors, you shouldn't be I don't compare my home value with my neighbor. They have a finished basement and a new roof and all this, and a pool, and I don't. Well, then appeal. You have to appeal.
Right.
Now, I'm saying that now, but the deadline was Monday. I'm sorry to say.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I did put it on my Facebook page. So there are reasons for the way things work, and you have recourse, and we can all reasonably expect that these processes take place in a transparent manner in the public eye.
Yeah.
Now, I would look at it as there was one phrase that you said in there when you're calculating that stands out to me. And for them, and I could go over and talk to them about it. But when you said there were no foreclosures to offset that pricing, to me, it's like, well, take the law of averages for the past 5 years or so, and what was the number of foreclosures? What was the average price?
Yeah.
And help offset that a little bit for your tax assessed value.
Yeah.
Because that's a standard that's in there. That's not an offset deviation that only occurs once in a while.
Yeah.
But that's just a side note.
No, that's a really good point. And if you do go in and appeal before the deadline, they will look at your property assessment individually and not en masse. So
Right.
that would have been the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm just picking a picture of
Yeah.
me standing out front of my house.
So you brought something up that I'd also like to explain to people. And again, obviously this could be different from place to place, but you mentioned the city commissioner.
City council members, county commissioners,
Yeah.
city council.
So you've got, there's this dichotomy, depending on where you're at, you can have city council, you can have the county commissioners, mayor, city manager, or city, what's the
That's
other one?
about it.
Is that it? Yeah.
That's about it.
We
So
have
how
a-
does
we have a
how does
city
the
manager
relationship
here.
between like a mayor and a city manager work?
So the city manager,
One's the whipping boy.
interestingly, yeah, that's about right. Interestingly, the city manager is a contract employee in our case and in most cases in a council city manager form of government.
Elected or non-elected?
Non-elected, hired under contract that is renewed on a yearly basis. So a city manager serves at the pleasure of mayor and council. So when our current city manager's contract is up, I think it's at the end of the year, if he decides it's time to move on, well, he's free to go. If we want to keep him, we better incentivize that. If we want to have him another year, that's just common sense. So the city manager works for the body of 5 in Peachtree City, and 5 people, 5 equal votes.
So it's kind of like a board and a CEO working for the board.
Absolutely.
In the business world.
Something like the real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
You said something a minute ago. I don't want to forget. You asked me what's, very surprising or monumentally important.
Yeah.
It's the relationships. And hear me out, because I know it's cliche. It's so cliche to say you've got to keep good relationships, but I'm telling you, it matters. If you need to resolve a problem with Highway 5474, I have, in my capacity as director of the link in Noonan these past couple of years, I got to know the new county commissioner in Coweta for District 4, which borders Peachtree City, and he's awesome, and he wants to work together, to address
bipartisan work. I'm going to reach across the aisle.
Because that's where you left your bourbon glass earlier.
Right.
So,
Imagine that, politicians actually working together and not just lip service.
I'm being a little presumptuous here. If I were to be mayor, I cannot wait to get started, because he's a smart guy, and
Sure.
his heart is in the right place, and he wants to work together in good faith. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's my district, by the way. So,
Really?
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very
Great
cool.
guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So another interesting thing as I'm sitting here listening to you talk, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and it's come to light more this last year, because when COVID started, we were all over the place. And I think if you were to take government at large, the entire body, national down to local, we didn't do a very good job dealing with COVID. We've never done something like this, but I'll give you a great example. Okay. And when I'm saying this, I'm not pointing at our community. I think we actually did pretty well. But like California, I was just telling somebody this story not long ago. I heard a restaurant owner in California telling me that they had, when they were allowed to reopen, they had all these restrictions about what they could do to reopen. So they could only reopen to 20%. They could do all this stuff. So these state mandates that they had to follow. But then they had county mandates.
Yeah.
And then they had city mandates. And they all conflicted with each other. So one said you had to take temperature at these intervals. Another one said you had to take temperatures of employees at these intervals. One said you had to have a log like this. The other one had different information.
Yeah.
So you had to, you were complying with 3 different entities that were completely on different pages on certain things. And I don't know how some of these businesses across the country survived. A lot of them didn't.
Tough
and
times.
which one supersedes the other one? It's like at what level actually takes precedence over this one. And sometimes it is. It's not what you would think it is. Sometimes it's like, wait, the state is allowed to have precedence in this decision, but the federal has.
It's not uniform.
No, it's not, and it's very confusing.
Yes, it is.
And especially like that. I mean, basically, all of them totally screwed the restaurants in California. Let's just get to the bottom line.
California, I'm looking at you. You've done a very poor job. But the reason why I bring that up, and I don't want to get into this long conversation about COVID and that sort of thing, but more importantly, what it's made me realize is how important it is for people to get involved at the local level. Good people, smart people. And there's a lot of great, very smart people that listen to this podcast, and we've talked about it before. I want people to get involved, even if it's running for, their school board, or, county commissioner or city commissioner.
We have boards, commissions, authorities. We've got lots of opportunities.
Yeah. So I want people that are not happy, because there's a lot of people that aren't happy with how things are going right now.
Well, they like to bitch and moan. They just don't
Miss
want to
me
do
yet?
anything about it.
I know you miss me, Darren. You want me to come back, don't you?
Only when they let you have your Twitter account back, sir.
Yes, not allowed to have his Twitter. Damn it. I loved reading his Twitter. It was so entertaining. But seriously, I want people to get involved. What's it like to get involved in politics if you've never done it before?
It's wonderful. It's a great way to find your way around. It's a great way to learn those relationships. I'll give you a good example. I love this, and I was so proud of Peachtree City. I think it was 2017, we passed a SPLOST. I think it was supposed to be on the ballot in fall of 2016, but something fouled up. And we ended up voting in March of 2017 whether or not we want a SPLOST. That means, do you want one extra penny when you buy a blouse at the Avenue to go to this special purpose fund, and then all the monies that come in over the 6-year period are distributed according to this list. And you have to make your list ahead of time so that people know what they're voting on. A SPLOST is one more penny when you shop, dine, spend your money in this county. It's a county thing. So it was put together by the county commissioners and the county manager. And so every jurisdiction knows that if there's something in it for me, and Peachtree City has 1/3 of the population of the entire county of Fayette. If there's enough in it for me, then my citizens will vote in favor, and maybe we'll get this pot of money to do special purpose projects. Well,
such as?
Yeah,
it's a special purpose
so,
project.
So I'll
people
get to
don't
that.
even know what
Absolutely,
that is. Okay.
that's a great question. But what I want to point out is that our city manager recommended that we pull together a citizens committee to go out through all points of Peachtree City and see what the needs are, or see who's been talking about this for a really long time. So one example would be the Gateway Bridge that's on Highway 54 West. Well, where does that money come from? It's not in your annual budget, I'll tell you that. So
Talking about that new one that they built down there?
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
What the hell was the point of that? Anyway, so
Yeah, let's just.
We're going to need another beer for that one.
Yeah.
let's not talk about that. There's so many places that need an actual bridge or a good, but no, continue.
We'll chat. Yeah. And in our
to me.
Breaking out
community,
the bourbon.
we had been so budget conscious on the annual ongoing level that we were falling behind in maintenance and upkeep of our cart path, which is our signature amenity, and parks. And so we put a lot of line items on the SPLOST for Peachtree City's portion of the 1 penny SPLOST over 6 years. Another example is installing bathrooms over at Line Creek Nature Center. Okay, so special purpose things like that got put on the list.
They're called trees.
Not anymore.
Not
there's-
for the
there's
girls.
There's 2 nice
you
bathrooms
idiot.
right there in the parking lot. I was
Exactly.
there
We
for-
wouldn't have them if it wasn't for a
the
SPLOST.
SPLOST.
So, and then
They were locked.
Fayette County likes to look for trouble sometimes when it comes to SPLOST. I'm just going to say this out loud. I heard people talking about the SPLOST agenda, and I thought, ooh, what
Dun,
is
dun, dun.
that? Really, what a SPLOST is a financially sound way to raise needed funds for local projects that are identified by our citizens. And the one good thing about a SPLOST, among a few others, is people who visit Fayette County from outside the county, of course, if they're spending money here, then they're contributing to our SPLOST. So if we don't have one, and they do, we're paying in theirs, and they're not paying in ours. And that explains why out of the 159 counties in the state of Georgia, I'd say all but 6 of them have a SPLOST, and they usually reapprove them back to back, end to end. It's a sensible way to raise needed funds for special projects in your community.
Such as bathrooms at Line Creek.
Exactly. 25,000 visitors a year. We needed bathrooms. No more trees, you.
25,000 people walk out there.
So that it's essentially a sales tax.
It is. It's 1 penny added. If you had
Because your
7%,
sales tax
now
is-
it's 8.
So your sales tax is it state?
The sales tax goes, a small amount goes to the state, and the rest of it filters back to the county and then back to the cities.
So
That's called local option sales tax. And if you look at where a city's money comes from, number 1 is property tax, and number 2 is that local option sales tax.
So does the county have 100% control of how much comes back through the option?
No, it's all negotiated up front. It's all, everybody knows what they're voting on before they go in to vote yes or no.
All
on a
139
SPLOST.
counties.
159 counties, all but a handful have a SPLOST, and within each county they make those decisions and then go to vote.
So the SPLOST gives the county the ability to kind of work around the negotiating with all the other counties and have direct control over those funds that are generated from the sales tax and
Within
then where
your
it gets
county.
and where it gets spent.
That's right.
Okay, that
and
makes
really
sense
the
to me.
negotiation is the county and all your municipalities. That's who sits down at a table, literally sits down at a table and figures it out ahead of time. If it's going to be a $45 million bucket of money and I bring in $30 million of projects for Peachtree City, it might not fly. So I'm willing to be reasonable, and we can figure out what projects are important to us and what's important to Tyrone and Brooks and Woolsey and Fayetteville and the county, and we figured all out ahead of time. And I just was so proud of Peachtree City that we empaneled these citizens who went out there and got busy. I never would have had the time, and council's busy with our usual, and we just had this wonderful group of citizens that made it all happen.
Well, we got a bunch of seniors just sitting down here. They got something to do that. No.
Hey,
Remember, send your email to Darren Flanagan, not me. He's the jackass.
Honestly, I think we've got more senior citizen retirement communities per capita than I thought. Sun City had.
Have you been to Meriwether County?
Yeah.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. So I appreciate you walking us through the SPLOST thing, because that's the simplest explanation that somebody's given to me on why we do those here in Georgia.
Yeah.
And that makes total sense.
So let me toss in one more little twist, and that is in eSPLOST, the Fayette County Board of Education also has to decide from time to time, every 5 years or 6 years, whether to put a 1 penny tax on the ballot. So sometimes it gets a little confusing. We have the 1 penny that we already talked about. We know what that is now, but E would be for education, and then they can do special projects for the school system.
You got to put your 2 cents in, right? Or 1.
Yeah, 2 cents.
But it's a penny for your thoughts.
So I can see real time that people are watching us. So if you're just joining, we're sitting with Kim Learnard, which I've been saying your name wrong. Sorry about that. It's Learnard, and she's running for mayor of Peachtree City. If you have questions, send them in. All you got to do is comment. We can see it, and we'll be addressing your questions as we go through the show. So,
and depending on your handle, if you don't want us to mention your name, just try to type the word anonymous.
And then I'll make sure that I put it out there for the world to see.
So.
Just kidding. No, we're not that bad. So going back to those that are like, yes, you know what, I want to run for education board, or I want to get involved in city or county politics. You've been successful in this. So you not only did you get elected, you got reelected, which is really important. Now you're running for mayor. Where do you start? Like if somebody's sitting, listening, or watching right now, hello, what do you do? Where do you start?
So step 1, go to some of the council meetings. Just go to the meetings. And all the meetings are publicly announced. That's the law. We have Georgia sunshine laws. They're held with open doors. And
looking at you, Washington, D.C.
Full transparency here. Definitely, this happened all the time when I was on I'd say a couple dozen times when I was on city council, that someone would reach out, send me an email and say, do you have time to meet for coffee sometime? Well, of course I do. That's why I'm here. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about anything that's on your mind.
Sure.
And I'm doing that all the time now that I'm campaigning. But as a council member or a mayor, they're out there all the time. This is a public service job, and knowing your community is what it's all about. So, go to the meetings. Don't hesitate to send emails to your city council members and ask them if they have time for coffee. They'll do it.
That's pretty cool. So if somebody's like, okay, they're getting involved, they're going to the council meetings, they like what they see, how do you register? How do you start a campaign? I've never done it, so I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's really not bad. In fact, you will be surprised to learn that qualifying week is the week when you make it official. You go into City Hall, talk to the city clerk, fill out a form, and write a check, and now that's what means you mean business, and your name will be on the ballot. That hasn't even come up yet. That's coming up the 3rd week in August.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So anybody who's running right now could decide, never mind. Anybody who hasn't said a word about it yet doesn't have to decide until the 3rd week in August. But the only thing you do have to do is you have to fill out one form called the Declaration of Intent, DOI. You have to fill out that form right here in Peachtree City, City Hall with the city clerk before you spend any money on a campaign or raise any money. Easy peasy, easy form, and our staff is thoroughly available and professional. That's
I'm
about
sure
it.
running for city councilor or the mayor of Peachtree City, you got these super PACs that are just trying to...
That's a
No?
national effort. No, definitely not. So, and that's another thing is, you might have a couple allegiant friends that want to give you, a lot of money, $500. It's better to go out there and have maybe $10, $50 donations from people who support you. That broadens your support and provides you legitimate buy-in from people who want to see you succeed.
Do they limit the amount per donation?
$2,800, Darren, keep that in mind. You'll have to be careful what you donate.
When I write the decimal points moved
right.
over a little bit.
That's right.
It comes after the 2.
Limit $2,800.
$2,800. That's
Another threshold is $100 or less. Candidates don't have to report it by name. So it's reported, but it's not associated with a name. Some people have a business, and
The business
obviously
will donate.
they don't want to be associated with supporting one candidate or another, even in a nonpartisan election. That's fair, and so they can write a check for $100, and that name doesn't go on
so
the
you
list.
could write $2,100.
Well, no, dare.
You can only do that if the candidate is running for federal office.
Is that how that
Yes,
works?
that's how it
Back
works.
to that. We're accountable here.
Right. Yes, there have been plenty of shenanigans like that found over the years, and
Oh, sure.
ironically, I don't think any of those politicians ever ended up in jail.
Imagine that.
But they
No,
all
they
got
haven't.
some really good book deals for their autobiographies.
Sure did. Oh boy.
So you decide, all of a sudden, you do city council for 2 terms. You retire from that, or you didn't
Sort of.
retire. You served your terms, and you're bored. So you're like, I'm going to run for mayor now.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure it was more than that. Why? Why did you decide to run
Actually,
for mayor?
What happened is, finished up my second term in 2017. My husband was retiring in 2018. I was retiring from technical college system. It just wasn't in the cards for me to retire. I'm terrible at retirement. And the opportunity found its way to me to serve as the director of the Link. Friends of Link is the nonprofit that supports Noonan's new multi-use path system. And I
didn't know you were involved with that.
Yeah. Oh, the Link is awesome.
Yeah.
And-
Oh no, I've been involved in several of their events, and
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been to Ready Set Link?
yes.
Or Halloween on the Link? Yeah, that was
Why did I not run into you?
I don't know.
I probably did.
We will now.
I was probably drinking.
We have beer.
Yes.
Yeah, we have beer at those. Yeah, so it was really they've been so nice to me in Noonan these last 2.5 years. They have a lot to be proud of. A great little downtown, good leadership. People love their city government and very forward thinking. I'll tell you one example. In Peachtree City, we keep reserves of about 33% or 34%. It's city policy. It's not a law. It's city policy. We keep cash reserves of our budget, 33%, 34%. And I've rarely, but sometimes had people tell me if it goes up much higher than that, why would you be keeping our money and to that extent and still taxing us? Okay, that's fair, and I better have a good answer or stop taking, reserving 33%.
Exactly.
In Noonan, they have closer to 100% reserves, and they are able to do really responsible, wonderful projects for their community. They purchased that land from the old hospital and turned it into a college campus, and now they have UWG Noonan Satellite Campus right there off the square. It's just brilliant. Noonan has a lot to be proud of. I've been happy to be over there for the last 2.5 years.
One of the fastest growing over the past 5-6 years. They're the fastest growing city in Georgia, aren't they,
Interesting.
or something?
Coweta's growing. I mean, right
Yeah.
next
Might be the
door, we know
county
that.
itself,
yeah,
but I
I
know
wouldn't
that-
be surprised.
Well, it's kind of like the best kept secret in the Atlanta metro area, really, because, right off 85, there was so much green space, and it's a really healthy artery into the city.
Yeah.
So that alone does not make it successful. They've had really good forward-thinking leadership, but there's a lot more runway for growth than a Peachtree City, which
That's
has
right.
been established for a long time. And
That's right.
There's not the green space in Peachtree City like over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to compare the two.
Yeah.
Noonan is really sprawled. The populations aren't that different of the two cities. Peachtree City really is a bubble in that we have this geographical boundary and we're about built out. We are
Right.
about built out. So the growth, it's not coming from within Peachtree City. We're feeling it from outside of our borders.
Of course.
And of course, case in point is the Coweta traffic coming in from the west, because Coweta is just burgeoning right now.
Yeah,
there's that-
you're feeling it from us. I mean, my wife and I, we live in Sharpsburg,
Yeah.
right over the line, and
Yeah,
we
we
come
like
over here
hard
for dinner. We
borders.
come over here. We office here, so we, You're absolutely right. There's so much growth over there, and it will impact this area because it's a destination.
I just want a hard border to keep you out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm like a caged animal. You really can't keep
I know. It just keeps making. So I'm going to ask you this question because I'm sure you've heard this a lot. You get this asked all the time. Why the hell doesn't Peachtree City have a square? I mean, you're talking about Noonan. Noonan has a beautiful square.
It's wonderful.
There are other towns and cities in Georgia, and they have that traditional square. Marietta, Roswell,
Fayetteville.
Mm-hmm. They're working on theirs. It's getting better.
They're doing a lot of things right now.
It's two halves of the square that are really good. So, but they're working on it. So why? I mean, there's nowhere to put one in Peachtree City, but
well, that's your answer.
There, you just answered your own question.
Next question.
So
I have to podcast with this guy.
The
Can
question
you believe it?
is there something that has there been anything proposed like a common area for people to congregate besides Line Creek or the avenues?
Yeah. So I love that question. So the short answer is it wasn't set up that way. And one of the things people love, we do a comprehensive plan update every 5 years. And the last one I saw was, I was on council in 2017. We did an update to our comprehensive plan. And you do surveys and just kind of get the pulse of the people in your community and make sure you're headed in the right direction. So one of the things they're just very, very happy with is our village concept. So we have this decentralized geography in our community that we're keeping. We're going to keep it. It's the village concept. I'll be honest with you. I like our city hall. I like where it is. I don't see it moving or changing, and I wouldn't spend an extra nickel to make it move. So there's that. I will tell you that, you know, it's funny how there are trends. Like in city recreation, it used to all be about swimming pools. Well, now we've closed them over the many years. Pools are not a big thing. And here comes pickleball. And now you've got different emphases over the years. Am I right? So right now what I see happening is I have 3 children now in their young 30s, and they all have children of their own. I know what they want. They don't live here. I know what they want. They want to go to a gathering place, a commercial retail area where they can sit on a porch, have a sandwich and a refreshing beverage, and watch their children play in a safe space. And I went up to see one with my daughter and her boys, and it's Town Center in Peachtree Corners. You familiar with that?
Yep.
Awesome place.
Yeah.
That's what we want more and more, the younger families, and we need to be acutely aware of how we can bring them in, recharge our tax base and our school system.
You can attract them, but you can't retain them. That's the hardest part. Like that
I think
late 20 to early 30s, they come in, but maybe the families, the ones who are families, stay.
I think so.
But
I think if you build it, they will come.
The singles and stuff,
this
they're
gathering
the hard ones
thing is important to them, and we've seen it in terms of paths and trails on the link, which is emulating, the Atlanta Beltline and the Silver Comet Trail, and Carrollton has the Greenbelt and the thread in LaGrange right now. These trails are here to stay because people want a safe place to walk, run, ride their bike, and socialize is a big component of that, huge component of that. But anyway, let me continue because I have some ideas that I'm very excited about. Line Creek, of all places, Line Creek Brewery has shown me how successful a business can be over in the most undeveloped area of our community. And the reason Huddleston Road is so underdeveloped is because it doesn't have sewer. We need to run sewer down Huddleston Road.
I did not know that.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
And
Try
while
peeing and watch where it
don't
goes
do
when you urinate on the street.
all those,
For shit's sake, Darren, seriously.
I can't take you anywhere.
I know.
Nobody can. So when you were talking about the village concept, I used to live in Peachtree City, but I moved to Sonoy. They paid me more money because they needed a better village idiot, so that's why I went over there. So
It gives a new twist to the village concept, doesn't it? It
But
doesn't
Huddleston-
have sewer.
I'll be
So Huddleston Road needs sewer. I have spoken to the majority of the property owners over there, and they know we need sewer. So let's run sewer. And while we're torn up, let's give it a golf cart path so that we finally have safe access to 5 different golf cart facilities over there.
5 golf cart facilities.
Imagine that.
Let's do that.
A
Yes,
good
that's a
restaurant
great
and,
idea.
and a brewery are over there, and they would probably appreciate it
Exactly.
too. I mean,
So while we're doing that, let's get the design overlay for the cute stuff, the gas lamps and the banners, and now we can get in a beer garden, a wine bar, and these outdoor placemaking, walkable, safe gathering spaces. I want it to be open container. Trilith has open container. You
yes.
can walk around.
That would be
Why
awesome.
not?
oh
Yes.
So we've got some traffic problems to solve before we can really focus on that. But I'm telling you, there's an appetite for this, and I'm very excited about the possibilities on Huddleston Road. It's within our village concept. And I got another one. You ready?
Yes.
No, don't
I
pull
like
your
the
big
first
one.
one, so
That's
Okay,
the
I
big
think
one
you're
you
gonna like
told me
this one,
about. Oh. I was going to work on that one.
No.
Okay.
So we respect our villages, and we keep hearing this from our own citizens. I'm not making this up. Down at Braylon Village on Crosstown Road, we lost Kmart. Kmart died
Right.
2 years ago, 3 years ago.
yeah.
Why not a Crogged Street market?
Why not?
Why not? Indeed. It's single level, one roof. We have, again, with the relationships, I've got a good relationship with the owner-developer. We worked well with them when they expanded Kroger a few years ago. They added 40,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We did a little land swap so we could preserve wetlands. And I've had a couple conversations with them. Nobody's told me no yet. That's all I can say is nobody's told me no yet. I believe that it already has parking. It already has golf cart access. And why not have, if you've been to Krog, you know they've got the Superica and a couple others. You can open the garage door on the side and have indoor-outdoor patio and restaurant. And then the rest of it would be, and this is important to the businesses in our community, I think more and more people are going to be working from home. And we need that central type gathering space where you can go inside, grab a coffee, and open your laptop.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that idea. I think it's
We could do this.
in what I also find interesting, just to talk about you as a candidate. I think one of the things that makes you maybe uniquely positioned to do this kind of stuff is your background's in engineering.
Yes.
So you're not just like pie in the sky. Oh, I got a great idea. Running through the fields.
No.
Where's your conductor hat?
She
Oh, not that kind of an engineer.
right.
No.
There's other kinds, Darren.
Mechanical,
So you're-
electrical?
Electrical.
Were you?
So you're
smart
thinking
one.
about this from a problem solving.
Oh, yeah.
Perspective that
Yeah.
it can actually be done.
Yes. And when we talk about welcoming young families to Peachtree City, or in so many cases right now, welcoming young families back to Peachtree City, I have 3 new families on my street in the last 3 years, and they all have young kids, babies, and they're here to stay. And they want a place to gather and hang out and watch the kids play and have some nightlife in Peachtree City. And I think we really, really can do this.
Yeah, it's a great community, great town, and really good schools. From what everybody
It's
says.
a draw, huge draw.
Huge draw.
So I want to prove that we're live and encourage people to get involved. I want to go back to this question from Drew Groom, and it's just popped up on the screen. You can see it. So he's excited that the live streaming is working. But his question for you was he's concerned about safety issues on the golf cart paths, and how would you address such concerns? And if you're listening or if you're watching and you're not from our area, like you've got a massive network of golf cart paths in Peachtree City, where you can drive around to all parts of the community, and it's a really big thing here. So you can go Google it if you're not from our area. But what would you do to address the safety issues on the golf cart
Which type
paths?
of safety are you talking about?
Oh,
I don't know. I'm reading his
It
question.
comes up
I know.
all the time.
Well,
It's the teens on the golf carts,
teens.
and we hear this especially when the
teens.
summer kicks off. I am a distance runner. I've been on the golf cart paths, our multi-use paths, for 22 years now. Every corner of the community and the fun runs and all the training that goes with that. I spend a lot of time running on the cart paths. I've been run off the road one time by a teen who was looking at his phone and slowed down, but didn't stop. And I can name names of people who have been injured seriously, a broken wrist or whatever, by an accident that happened because of inattentive drivers. I'm not pigeonholing the teenagers. I'm not inattentive drivers. I did mention it to Janet Moon, our chief of police, who's just the best. We're fortunate to have her, and she does beef up patrols on the cart paths in the summertime. She knows. She knows. So she's beefing it up, and anybody who wants to call me and tell me about an incident or a location or a particular stretch of path that you're concerned about, I'd love to hear about it.
7 o'clock in the morning on a weekday during the school year up near McIntosh High School.
So true.
Is it? And then 3 in the afternoon. But it's not just the teens. I mean, they get it. And to be honest, I've been living in the area for 5.5 years. And I've never once seen that quad or that little smart car. Those are the only two things that I've ever seen that I know are supposed to be patrolling the paths.
Yeah, they've got ATVs too.
Well, that's the quad. Or that's what I meant by that. So the ATVs, I haven't seen the ATVs or that little smart car anywhere in 5 years, and I've spent a lot of time on those paths, not once. So as a citizen or former Peachtree Cityer, where the hell are they?
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time on those paths. A lot of people do. I'm the one who always gripes and complains about those freaking gas golf carts, and they need to go away. But there are a lot of folks who you're trying to enjoy it.
What's your problem with gas burners?
And it's just not. Well,
I
the
love
thing
gas
is,
engines.
there's
They
also
make me happy.
educating folks about the cart paths as well, because there are groups of runners. I used to drive here to the office in the golf cart each morning, and there are blocks of runners, and it's like, where's your etiquette, people? I am coming up behind you. I can't get around you because of this. You're taking up the whole damn path, and I don't. Anyway, now I'm getting on a soapbox myself, so I'll get off my soapbox.
Because all the other paths, Jake, you know this, the Link, Atlanta's Beltline, Silver Comet, all the rest are non-motorized. None of them have golf carts. It's a unique situational thing in Peachtree. Of course we love our golf carts. To me, the quintessential quality of life is taking my golf cart to a concert at the Fred with anything I want in my cooler. I just think there are things about Peachtree City that melt my heart. So fun. Anybody would love to come.
I'm in real estate. That's my primary business, and I'll have clients that it's like, no, we're only interested in Peachtree City because of the golf cart paths and the culture. I don't care about anywhere else. Don't show me houses anywhere. Peachtree City.
Wow.
But
I mean, that's it. I mean, it's really, really important.
I have friends who have grown up here. They were born and raised in Peachtree City, and a few of them are like, yes, the golf cart concept for a teenager is awesome, because I think they'd rather have them in a golf cart than driving in a car. But the ones who grew up around it, they're like, I don't want my kid in those, because they've heard, they themselves have experienced a lot of the incidents and accidents that happen. They're like, I think they're safer in a car. But
it's a legitimate concern.
It's difficult.
I don't have all the answers. I do have a good relationship.
When you become mayor, you damn well better, woman.
I guess I
no, I'm kidding.
We'll talk.
Actually, can I say something about that? I think this is really important when it comes to, because there's another side of this conversation that is us as the citizens, the voters. There's something really important that we need to do in this, and that is pay attention and cast a vote. And it's a very important responsibility, one that I don't think most people take seriously enough.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion. Sorry.
You put the right counselors on, the city councilors and commissioners.
But what you just said is so vitally important when it comes to making those decisions. When I ask somebody a question, or when I see it asked of somebody that I would never get to talk to, like a national politician, and they've got an answer for everything, immediately, no trust. When I talk to somebody and they're like, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. It's something that I want to dig into, but I don't know. You've got my trust, because you know what? Anybody that's ever, I used to manage a very large, very complex business. And what I found is the higher I got to I don't know if you know, but I got to a chief operating officer level at a very big company. And what I found was the higher I went, the less I knew and the less I felt like I was connected. And people would ask me questions like, what are we doing about this? I'm like, I didn't even know that was a problem. Like, I really don't know, but I'm going to go look into it.
Yeah.
And I built a lot of trust, because I wasn't out there going, oh, well, and then a steady stream of bullshit comes out of my mouth, because I need to sound like I have the answer. You don't.
No,
you don't have to have the answer.
Oh, and they don't want you to. I mean, it's one of those is when you're aware of it. And the other part of that is what might seem like a very important subject to me isn't the one that the general population finds to be most important. Or you're like, yes, we want to address that, Drew. I get it. We all are concerned about the safety on the cart paths, and it's whether he's talking about teenagers, whether he's talking about walking versus running, and golf carts, whether he's talking about they should be more lighted at times, or there's not enough parking on the Peachtree City or the lake over there during sunset.
Yeah.
Which there seems to be plenty of parking available for the cart path.
I think so.
But the main thing could be, we got a really serious thing to deal with first, Drew, before we address that issue, and that's this thing over here. And it's more of a infrastructure type issue. By the way, part of the road is going to collapse here if we don't deal with this. So we're going to have to put this other one off because we've got to address this first.
So on the cart path issue, I'll close it with this. It's ongoing. It will always be ongoing in Peachtree City. It's what we do. It's fluid. It changes with seasons, and it changes with, the summer break and what the kids are doing and where the masses are in terms of golf carts. The important thing is we have a chief of police who knows, and she's aware, and she's out there. And all I have to do ever is pick up the phone and ask her a question, and she's on it. Either she's going to watch it or fix it, or we'll figure this out together.
Well, there's a couple of things I want to close out this point on that I think are really important. Number one, I think you should be weary of anybody running for office that always seems to have the answer. I want somebody that's going to say exactly what you said. I don't know. I got to look into it. And I think the right leaders know where to find the answer or know where to go study it and investigate it. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to have all the answers. It'd be impossible. And for anybody to expect that is silly. The other piece of this, and I think this is really important too when it comes to politics in general, so many times people will want a really, really simple answer to an extremely complicated issue.
Right.
So, what are you going to do about the crime rate? What are you going to do about the murder rate in the city? There's not a one-sentence line for that.
Oh, good, thanks.
Yeah, perfect. I feel much better. It's if you really want results and not lip service, you don't want somebody giving you confirmation bias. If you really want answers, a lot of times it's really complicated, and it's hard to give an answer. It's hard to say this is exactly. So many big problems that I've dealt with over the years have been solved by a lot of trial and error, a lot of study, a lot of A and B testing. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's see what moves the needle. It's not. I've got the answer.
Right.
I'm running for office. I know how to fix everything.
Right.
Sometimes
if it was that easy, it would have been solved by now.
5474 would have been already taken care of. There's
Yes,
no way
yes.
around that one.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. So
That's a great example. You get a bad intersection like this one, fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, how?
Yeah.
And when you really start to dig into it, do a flyover. Okay, well, it causes this issue and this, and then you start to get, a couple layers deep, and it's like, okay, so I see that does have some issues. Yeah. And it's not so simple.
we don't have billboards in this town. I love it. I love
It's
the
like
fact there are
I'll
no
give you a perfect example. Right when I was a peon at AT&T when I started out before I moved up through the ranks, I'd look at an issue like scheduling for vacation, and I'd be like, why can't you make that simpler? Like, this is so stupid. The hoops that we have to jump through. Like, we should just do X, Y, and Z. And then I got to where I was managing 10,000 employees, and I'm like, this is complicated AF.
Never mind.
I'm like, how can we make it more complicated? Because this isn't working for me, Right. So it's a different perspective on the issue. And once you really start to dig into why something is the way it is, you're like, okay, solving, and not to say that it can't be solved, but it's not solved simply.
The next question I want to ask you is, and this has to do with local government here, and then I wouldn't say partnerships, but the relationships with small business and large business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because there is a balance. You want to have big business in the area because it's going to bring in jobs and it's going to support the community. But then you have your small businesses that you want to prop up and make sure that they can survive. And how involved is, city government or town as mayor or being on the city council? How important is that how involved are you guys in that?
So It's hard to know where to begin. There's so much to talk about in light of
You're talking to me, so
both
keep
big
it
and
as
small.
simple as possible.
I'll try. I have a technical background, and I was involved in manufacturing. I installed robotic systems for GM for 10 years. It was really fun, very interesting. One thing led to another. By the time I had 2 little girls, I decided I better start my own small business, and I worked for myself, and I ran that little business, Technical Documentation Services for manufacturing companies, for 20 years. And doing that led me to the Georgia Department of Economic Development. They have a program called Quick Start. Quick Start puts technical training people into manufacturing companies here in our state that are ramping up their hiring. We want people to come here and bring their manufacturing lines from Iowa. Forget that. Just come here and hire Georgians into jobs. And the state of Georgia says, we'll help you, we'll incentivize you to come here. We'll provide you your upfront training for free. And then they would put people like me into those manufacturing industries and do the training. And I learned, I'm going to give you the short version, I learned that I loved the teaching so much I went back to school in my middle age for a master's in education. So master's degree in adult education. Now I'm city council member. And in 2010, 11, I got to thinking, we have a robust industrial park. Panasonic and TDK and Cooper Lighting, and there are so many companies. I think we represent 12 different countries down there, Sany and Scholla and Gerresheimer, and just quality manufacturing. Rinnai. We have Ultra Refrigeration,
Sasaki.
just amazing down there. And it gets overlooked so often. But as a city council member with that background, I pulled together like a summit in city council chambers to bring in our industry leaders post-recession and say, how are you doing and what can we do to help? And it was a great group. I like to talk. I like to collaborate and bring these people in. We had school board members there. We had our state representative, Matt Ramsey, at the time. Brought them all in, and what the industry leaders told us was surprising to all of us. They said, can we have jobs available? I mean, unemployment was at 9%. We have jobs available, but we can't seem to find people with the technical skills that we have to have. And in many cases, the soft skills. What we might say, you got to be kidding me. No, it's real, and it's a problem. And this was 9 years ago. So we started a focus group, a steering committee of sorts, to look at the college, and I'm giving you the condensed version, the college and career academies across the state. In Coweta, as you well know, the CEC, the Central Educational Center, is a national model for how you can combine your school system and send high school students to a physical location to interface with the technical colleges and the industries. It's a wonderful program. And Fayette County as a whole, and I led this and I loved every minute of it. We worked on this for about 18 months. We toured other college and career academies across the state. At that time, there were about 28. Now I think there are at least 45 college and career academies. They have their own website, and there's a lot going on there, always interfacing with your local technical college and your industry. So you can just see where this pipeline is, that you have the opportunity for high school students to get a jump on some technical skills in fields they may want to end up in, or they may want to find out now that they thought they were interested and they're really not. So that's a good thing to find out early. We worked on that for a long time. Ultimately, we did not start a college and career academy in Fayette County, but the conversations continue. These are important conversations to have, and always, we need to be cognizant of our industry needs. And 90% of the time, their need is a trained and ready workforce. So one thing I want to be sure and mention is here in Fayette County, the school system is moving Booth Middle School over to a new location. There will be an old Booth Middle School location here very soon.
The third time
on Peachtree
So
Parkway.
there's 2 old Booth Middle Schools
Just
now?
the one. It's my understanding that the school board is looking for leases from colleges to put them in there. And here we go. Here it is.
Yeah,
I've
there you
waited
go.
a long time for this.
That's awesome.
The
Cool.
need has never gone away. The industry council meetings that we began back then, 2011, still meet. They still meet on a periodic basis to share their challenges, whether it's hiring or taxation or, COVID or whatever the case may be. But I am very excited. And from the city standpoint, no, we don't make the decisions for the school board. But here's this facility. If colleges come in, What will it be called? What will it look like? You can tell I'm kind of jacked up about this.
Awesome.
What will it be called? How's the parking and traffic patterns? What are you going to do with that football field? And how can we help pull in local industries and support small businesses in a place like that? And if I can get Krug Street Market half a mile south of there on Peachtree Parkway, now we can support college students who have 2 hours to kill between classes.
You know what
Boom.
You know what really strikes me listening to you talk, and honestly, when I talk to other
Passion
local
and intelligence.
Well, yes, no,
Both.
that's exactly where I'm going with this. So you have a lot of these national politicians that people seem to know and care about, and then you've got your local, and it's very clear to me that the competency and intelligence is at the local level. Just gonna throw it out there. You know? So I feel if you get well, hell yeah, she's going to be mayor, so I might as well start sucking up now.
Do it now.
No, but seriously, if you got elected mayor, I'd feel really confident in your ability.
We have a lot to do, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, and I think that this should serve as a wake-up call if you're sitting here watching us, or if you're listening in and you're one of our loyal listeners. Get involved. You know, we need this kind of leadership at a local level because it's where stuff gets done.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road, metaphorically and literally.
That's right.
Literally. So I wish you all the best, and hopefully we get to have you back as mayor at some point. That'd be a lot of fun.
I would love that.
Said she would.
We
come
could
back
say,
as mayor.
we drank beer with her before she was a mayor. So if somebody wants to find out more information about your candidacy, where can they go?
KimLearnardForMayor.com. On Facebook, Kim Learnard for Mayor.
He's got it.
Wow, it was
He's got it
the
in the
link
banner
was
at the
already
bottom.
on the screen. Look at it. It's like, folks, we're
Amazing.
live, yes.
Or high tech.
So KimLearnardForMayor.com. If you are watching, you see it. If you're one of our loyal listeners around the world, we will have a link to the website in your show notes. All you have to do is just look down to your show notes. Like if you're Darren and you're so dumb you're going to forget it 5 minutes from now, you've got it right there. So go to, can they donate from the website? Or?
Absolutely.
Well, look at that.
Even easier.
All the information is there.
You
And-
need money, right, to run for
yes.
office?
Oh, yes. Golly, yes. Yeah, that's kind of you to bring up. Can I mention one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Last month, I started first Monday, meet the candidates. So on Monday, June 7th, at Drakefield at the Pavilion, we got rained out. So we met on the first Tuesday at the Floy Fire Room, and it was just pull up your chair and let's talk. And I will say that maybe that's been one of the better surprises of campaigning is that people are willing to share. It has been positive. I have fostered a lot of good ideas from the input that I'm getting. And so my next first Monday is this Monday, July 5th, 5 p.m. at Drakefield Pavilion.
You going to be at the network event on the 14th again?
No question about it.
That was
Yes, you can come.
And
You can
I'll
come
tell you
meet her.
what, we had a great conversation. Kim talked to everybody, and it wasn't just like a glad hand conversation. Like, hi, I'm Kim. I'm running for mayor. Here's my propaganda. Just wash it
Send
down
the
with
check
that beer.
to.
But no,
That was fun.
You showed up at the beginning, and you stayed for the whole 2 hours.
Thank you.
And you talked to everybody, and you listened to
It was a
people.
good group. We had a great time. That was a good turnout. I was amazed.
It's going to be
Well,
better this time.
Yeah, and honestly, you probably have the same reaction that I do to talking to local politicians. You probably get out and talk to the public and realize there's a lot of smart people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure you do get ideas and perspective from people where you're like, never thought of that. That's good.
You know, I can give you another example. A book club invited me in last week. So here I was in some wonderful, beautiful home, and there were 15 young ladies, about 32,
Girl
35
on a
years
train
old.
still. Is that what
Oh
they're
no,
doing?
we're way past that. We're into nonfiction. So they all had young children, and I didn't want to take up their time. I have a book club that I've been in for 20 years. So you've got things to do and things to talk about, and it was nice of them to let me come in and speak for 20 minutes. So we got this in, but I learned that their number one concern is they want a place to take their little ones to gather and play in a park. And here, all this time, I thought, well, we got tot lots over here, tot lots over there. They don't care about tot lots. They want a signature destination park, for example, and we talked about this. Noonan has Carl Miller Park with
Right.
a brand new castle and a splash pad that never quits, and it's all free.
My kids love
It's
it.
wonderful over there. I have taken my own granddaughter, put her in the car in Peachtree City, take her to Carl Miller Park in Noonan to do the splash pad and enjoy the day. It is. It's a very lovely. It's a fine splash pad, but we need to modify.
It's not as
It's
good,
new.
Darren.
They just opened it last year.
Well, we need to increase our accessibility and take out any fees. And right now, what I learned from the book club women, the moms, is they're charging, and it has to be cash only. So
For that one?
yeah, we're going to fix that.
And
I'll
then
tell
you
you that
got
right
the
now.
Aqua Center up
Yeah, that's
this
good.
way,
But I mean,
don't
as
even know
far
if you got
as
to pay for that.
put two little ones,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
As far as put two little ones on the back of your golf cart and just go,
I
we're,
know.
we're not quite there yet. We've made most of the inroads, but I got a new look at how they are seeing our parks. And back to this, what do we want to provide so that young
Right.
families are happy to be here or come here?
Oh, we have some great things. I mean, the Fred, you briefly mentioned the Fred, and
Love
people are
it.
like, what the hell is the Fred?
Oh.
And it's a great amphitheater.
Yeah.
I wish they would just switch the series and not do it in the heat of the summer.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Spring and fall would be awesome.
Yeah.
But right next to that, there's a beautiful BMX track
Yeah,
that
there's
you
a
can
lot
go
of cool
to.
things in Peachtree
Then
City.
down here next to the splash pad and the little playground and they built that skateboard park,
Mhm.
which was a phenomenal idea. They moved the community garden from down by the dam over there as well. So the community garden is over there. And I don't think people know that Peachtree City has a community garden.
Yeah. Agreed.
And we should have more of those, though.
Yeah.
In different places, because it's really cool. So there are a lot of great things here.
Well, we wish you all the best in
Thank you.
your campaign. We'll support you. Looking forward to seeing you out at our next networking event at Line Creek, July 14th.
July
For
14th.
sake,
You want to
it's-
pull that banner up again?
Yeah,
Running
right here,
across the
July
line.
14th. Yeah, how cool is that? But thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. This
Thank
has
you.
been really educational. And folks, if you were watching, thank you very much. You've watched the first live episode of Beer and Business. If you are one of our loyal listeners, it's been with us for almost 3 years now. It's hard to believe. We've got listeners all over the world. If you're listening, you've got a reason now to go follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're coming to you live. And you could interact and ask questions, and you could even make fun of Darren in the chat, and I will definitely put any
You will.
making fun of Darren comments in the live feed. So we encourage you to go out and follow us there. Kim, thanks so much for coming in. This has been a blast.
My
Appreciate it.
pleasure.
It's been
Thank you so
educational.
much.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.